Hi there. Thanks for joining me today. Next week, a week from yesterday, next Monday on the 10th, we're starting a book study with our congregation, all of our acts of faith, actually. And we are reading this book, White Privilege Pop Quiz by Molly Secourse. I've quoted it on the Prayerful Pauses before, but our clerk of session, who is an African-American gal, is going to be leading the discussion with me. And it raises questions for us to think about, because I think as we start this new year, we really have to make sure that we are focused on things that matter. And some of those things that matter are the things that many of us take for granted. We must not take so much for granted. We have to really be aware of the gifts that we have, the privilege that we have, the position that we have, because then we can use those things to make the world a better place, to change them as Jesus calls us to change them. So there's one question today. Says, how often have you been given safety instructions about walking through a department store or a public establishment so that you don't foster suspicion or attract attention? Frequently? Sometimes? Rarely? Or never? It saddens me a great deal that for me and people who look like me, the answers are usually rarely or never. But for people who look like my children and have darker skin, the answer is frequently and sometimes. The book goes on to say, the first time you were taught how to behave in public so you would avoid being suspected of wrongdoing. Do you remember when that was? Did that ever happen to you? Is that something you had to teach your children? Describe an experience in which you sensed you were being watched or attracted attention because of your racial identity. I attracted attention once, the first time I went to an all-black church. Have you ever been in those situations, if you're white, where you are the minority? Describe the feelings of being watched or followed and how it affected your sense of safety. Not only your sense of safety, but your sense of who you are. Are you trustworthy? People begin to not trust you long enough, you begin to wonder yourselves. Are we not trustworthy? One of the things we can do this year as we are gearing up for this new year and it's getting off the ground is to become really aware of the things that we take for granted, like that. And if that is not something that you can take for granted, if you are a man or a woman of color, any color, so you're not part of what is currently the dominant culture, though that's going to change, we know, in a few years, maybe there's a way that you could find to share that with someone, what it's like for you. You could even try saying, I watched this video. Maybe you'd like to see it too. But it's this old white gal, and she's talking about blah, 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 blah. And I'm wondering how you feel about that. I'm here to say I hope you will use Prayerful Pause with the Pastor as conversation starters, either in your own life or send them off. The nice thing about electronic, just send the link so that other people can talk about it too. And they're not necessarily date specific. I go back and watch them sometimes and think, wow, where did that idea come from? I don't always remember them. They just kind of come through as the Spirit brings them. So this is a year when there's going to be a lot going on, even later this week, I'm sad to say, probably, with the anniversary of the January 6th uprising. And I think that all of us need to be very aware of how we might unintentionally hurt other people. And we can only do that if we agree to walk a mile in their shoes, or moccasins, as the case may be, to live life as they do. And books like this help us to become aware of those things. So I'll leave you with those thoughts for the day. Where do the thoughts take you? What are you thinking about now? Maybe write them down. Okay, everybody. That's it for now. Thanks for joining me for this prayerful pause with the pastor. A few minutes to think of something greater than ourselves. In other words, how to become our better selves. I'm Pastor Deb Swift with South Presbyterian Church in Rochester, New York. I look forward to seeing you next time, and until then, God bless, take care, and bye for now.